Welcome, everybody, to a new Sons of Montezuma podcast. The Aztecs, well, they're back in the win column. A 75-60 beatdown of Colorado State happened this past Tuesday night. Joining me on the episode today is Bill O'Rear. We're going to get into the big game, Bird's game, and plenty more. Maybe even have Fiend join us. We'll see. Let's get into it.
The three, gets to the paint, and is smoked. Look like Miles Heide.
Yeah, terrific three-point shooter at Brown.
And Byrd buries a three. Heide, corner, there's Ferrari. That's what he does. To Gorville. Trail three, Byrd. Got it!
No hesitation on the catch.
Side loose by Guac.
He wanted to shoot it.
Byrd from the logo. Yes! Now it's a long logo, I'll give you that. To go. Final moments, first half. Davis. Oh, he banks it. A short roll. Horn, not a good pass. That's what Byrd does. Oh! Oh, Byrd, that's another steal. And that's another dunk.
And that's the new career high, Rich.
Knowing what to do after they didn't get an open look. That's a nice beat inside. And Compton, pick and roll, and Bemba. Oh! And this one is over. San Diego State impressively puts the hammer down in the second half. Protecting home court with a 15-point win over Colorado State.
No Fab 5 here, we got the Fab 15. Everybody be tripping.
Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you for joining us here at the Sons of Montezuma podcast. Want to thank you for making this your watch or your listen. Do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button before you do anything else. It is totally free, but this episode is sponsored by our online shop at sonsofmontezuma.com. Make sure you're checking out all of our merch, especially our NIL partnership merch we have available right now. You can save 15% off just using the promo code MONTY, Monty, at checkout, and that'll get you geared up. Well, you guys saw it. A lot of highlights there going on. 75-60. The Aztecs get the victory over Colorado State. What can you say? Back in the win column and back on the show joining me right now is, yes, you cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. Woo! What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Fiend?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm not used to doing this, on a Thursday night. Having a game a little early on a Tuesday kind of affords us to kind of double dip this week. So it's good to see you, man. I'm enjoying talking after a victory, right? It's nice.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much better after a victory. And wish Mike was here, but he's playing gymnastics dad duty. So, it's that season. So he's got all those dad responsibilities that I don't have or you don't have. So you can hang out here and talk hoop.
Hey, nothing a Fiend wants more than talking some hoops. And man, it's been a busy week. Mountain West action, of course, our game, a lot to get into, a lot to talk about. Of course, the Miles Byrd game is what this is going to be known for, at least right now, right? I mean, career highs Miles Byrd had in points scored. I mean, the 7 steals were ridiculous. We mentioned Mike a little bit. He put together a nice little hard in the paint. One of the things I love that he does is the Hard in the Paint series we have on YouTube. Let's check that out real quick.
Last night for our boys at home against Colorado State after the tough loss in New Mexico, bouncing back. Miles Byrd, 25-7, 25 points, career high, 7 steals, career high, matching Chase Tapley for the most in a game in school history. Just wonderful. Kid keeps getting better and better. What do you say, Miles Byrd? Doing Miles Byrd things. He knows that we know that he knows that we know that he knows. how good he is. Wade McKinney with a great game, attacking the rim. Love that. So you see some more out of that from him. He's going to be a force moving forward. And then we had a kid who got out of our dreams, got into our car. Ferrari hitting that 3 in the corner, bringing some good energy to the floor. We needed that. The 2 San Diego boys came through last night, as well as the whole team. Good win back home at Viejas. We got a big game against UNLV on Saturday. So, hey, it's all there. Let's just see what happens. Focus on us. Beat UNLV, get to 5-2. Then we go on the road for 2 games, including up here in East Tahoe. Let's go, Ast.
Love that.
Gotta
Harden.
love it, man. Yeah. I was giving him a hard time, and he responded. He went hard in the paint. How could you not go hard in the paint with the performance that the Aztecs gave, dude? I mean, Byrd, it was the Byrd game, like I said. 25 points, 7 steals, 6 rebounds. He had a block. I want to fact check Mike a little bit on that. I'm not sure if it was Chase Tapley who had that 7 steals. It could have been, but when I look at GoAztecs.com, they were saying DeAndre Moore back in 2003, I think. Anyways, I correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I saw in Go Aztecs. Either way, I could see Chase Tapley doing the same thing as well. But what a performance by Byrd, man. Birdman. What'd you think, Fiend? What'd you think?
I mean, just absolutely amazing. And what I loved about it was kind of how hyped up it was as far as the matchup between him and Neat Clifford. And, you had the pros there scouting Neat Clifford and also Miles Byrd. And then he just shows out for this amazing game and really kind of keeps Clifford in check. And I think that was a big difference in the game. And so they see him play so well on that stage, great for him. I mean, his draft stock is going to continue to soar. And it was a fun night in Viejas, just watching it, just him play. I mean, he really, really played at a high level.
He was having fun out there. You hit it right there. Neat Clifford, talented player, 5th-year guy though, right? So you could tell he's a little more mature, a little more athletic, but none of that mattered. Byrd was having fun out there. I mean, he was getting anything he wanted. I mean, he was shooting these deep threes. So it's like, how do you defend that, And then when he's clogging the passing lanes and getting 7 steals, I mean, it was like anytime me and Andy looked up, he's on the breakaway and he's got a dunk, just jamming it right in Clifford's face.
Yeah, that poster on Clifford, that was awesome. I hope a cameraman got that shot. It kind of reminded me of Mitchell on the break against New Mexico when he threw it down. I mean, it just that really got the crowd going, and great night. I wish the crowd had been a little more. Viejas had been a little more packed, but because of the late start and it being during the week, you can understand why we didn't have a sellout. I don't know. Maybe they advertised it as a sellout, but it definitely didn't feel like a sellout. But the people who missed that, they should be kicking themselves because that was a really awesome performance to watch.
I want to see them try and kick themselves. That'd be interesting. Yeah, when he got that jam, I had to get up out of my seat and I said, in the face. Yes, Coming to America, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Angelica, thank you so much for the super sticker. It's always nice to give rather than to receive. I'm gonna have to set you up with a special gift from the Sons of Money shop pretty soon, or something's gonna have to happen. But thank you so much. Sergio, of course, happy belated birthday, Mateo. Thank you guys. They were singing happy birthday to me there in section A, and it was a little embarrassing, but the embarrassment is the spice of life, as I like to say. And yeah, especially when it's from your loved ones. So thank you guys. Oh, okay. So before we get any further, because this game was a big one, we basically leapfrogged over Colorado State in the standings. Let's take a quick look at the standings before we bring in our guest of the show and see if I can pull it up here. There we go. We're looking at Utah State still there in first place after, we'll get into that letdown that they had over there in Sin City. New Mexico right after them, Boise, us, then Colorado State. Of course, UNLV, who we're going to see coming up, is right there behind us. So, this race is a tight one now with this week going by. We're going to get into all that and what it means for us. But you could clearly see right there, still in the thick of things. It's early. We're getting into the middle of the conference season real soon. But, plenty to play for and a lot that's going to transpire. But either way, man, they needed this win because if they had lost this game at home, it would have been 2 in a row. And that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen under Coach Dutcher, Coach Fisher. It just doesn't happen, dude.
Yeah, you're right. And, we'll get into the Utah State game, but it's kind of a repeat of every year in the Mountain West, how tough it is to win on the road in this conference. And we know that all too well going to New Mexico and taking those beatdowns that we've taken 2 years in a row. And, but we still have some really tough games. I mean, going to Logan, we're going to be there in Fort Collins for that game. That you talk about a revenge game for the Rams. They're going to want that one back. And so that's going to be a really exciting atmosphere. And then just some of these other places like Wyoming and UNLV and, fortunately we were able to, get a win at Boise. But there's going to be some tough games coming up here for the Aztecs, especially on the road.
This performance, it was great to see Byrd go off. Like I said, he was having fun. He was intense. I love the way he plays because it's not a showboat either. He's just passionate. He's into it. He's having fun, but it's not like he's doing anything just for the applause. Like he's locked in. Having the supporting cast step up is huge, though, right? I mean, this was the Byrd game. It was huge. I mean, he did everything. He really is showing he's a two-way player, like you said. His draft stock, whatever that may mean, it's beginning to soar. On the national level now, right? And as it should. But now when you look at the team, there were a lot of good performances as well in this game. It wasn't perfect. Of course, when you have somebody that just goes off and it's their night, it's easy to kind of gloss over everybody else's. But McKinney, as Mike said in his Hard in the Paint, nice game from him, very aggressive. He's never lacked for aggressiveness, but I just think, the mismatch was there, I believe. I don't think CSU was as deep as maybe I was fearing. I mean, they were coming into the game on a 3-game win streak, and they were just bouncing everybody. But just from the eye test, I don't think at the guard spot they're that. I don't think they match up. So I think McKinney took advantage of that, and as he should, right?
Absolutely. I mean, he's able to get downhill on his defender, and then I don't think Colorado State. We've always talked about them as being Charmin soft in the middle, right, down low, and I don't think they have the trees that we had to face against New Mexico or Utah State, and that's where he was really having difficulty with getting up shots in the lane. These guys are just too big, and I think he's just having a little easier time getting through the lane to the hoop and got some really nice layups. And yeah, he played fantastic basketball. It's good to see him have a good game after struggling, in a couple of good games, get that confidence back up. You want to see him perform well.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I don't want to waste any more time. I want to bring in our guest because many of you guys, if you're not familiar with him, you need to definitely go follow him on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And that's Mr. Bill O'Rear, Bill O'Hoops, as he puts it. How you doing, Bill? First and foremost, how are you doing on this Thursday evening?
I'm doing really well. I feel really good to join the Aztecs, pardon the interruption, show here. The fans didn't get the Fiends singing happy birthday. I did. I was going to leave, but I hung on for your birthday, Mateo. So it's nice to be with you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome, Bill.
Welcome.
So tell us, for some of those who may not be familiar with your work, give us a brief breakdown, your history, obviously, in sports and what you are up to these days.
I was a high school basketball player and had a chance to go on and play college. I played my last 2 years at the University of Hawaii at Hilo. If you saw one of my little tweets the other day, I got a chance to play against New Mexico and Michael Cooper. And his guarding me one time on a drive to the bucket. I thought I beat him, and I was going to go reverse layup, and he swatted into the crowd, so I quit driving. But and then I became a sports writer in Hawaii, and I was a sports writer for 36 years. Covered my first high school game that I covered, state tournament. Punahou High School won the championship that year. They had a reserve come off the bench. His name was Barry Obama. So I saw Barack Obama play high school basketball. He's pretty good, a lefty, kind of wild there. And then, over the years, I got a chance to see a lot of really great teams come in and play in Hilo. At that time, before the Maui Classic, a lot of big teams would come in. I saw Georgetown, UNLV, Arizona, all of them. And as a sports writer, I would get to interview the coaches. So I've sat down and interviewed John Thompson 2 or 3 times, and a lot of these other guys, and Jerry Tarkanian and all that stuff. So I've always been involved in basketball. Done over 100 basketball clinics in my lifetime, and I just enjoy the game. And when I moved to San Diego 10 years ago, I kind of started following the Aztecs a little bit, and then got involved and had a chance to work in one of their camps, coaches' camps. So I got a chance to meet Coach Fisher and then Coach Dutcher and the rest of the guys and a lot of the players, and kind of have continued that. And now it's sort of my hobby. I'm semi-retired, but my hobby is just kind of watching Aztecs basketball, and the respect that I have for the program, not only the men, but also the women, that, it's an elite basketball program all the way around. So I'm happy to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. I love your takes and just your way of communicating on X. I get to come across your work there, and man, I'm sure for you being out here in San Diego now and being able to see this program over this last decade or so, where do you see this team right now? Because like we've been talking about Byrd, let's talk about some of the other players. I'm very happy to see, I'll admit it, I love seeing Miles Heide out there right now. It really feels like he's kind of embraced this role of doing the dirty work, getting in there, offensive rebounding. That's his thing, and it's fun to see. It's fun to see him kind of like come into his own in that role. I know Coach said he may have been still a little under the weather there in New Mexico, which is understandable. Everybody's kind of battling a bug. But that's just one example. Who else on this team do you think maybe we're sleeping on?
Yeah, when I saw him in the summer and I saw him working out, and I was doing the camp, and I got a chance to watch him practice a few times, and I thought, man, these guys really have some athletic talent. They have length and whatever. I thought if they progress, that they could be a top 25 team this year. Now, a lot of people, especially people who don't know much about San Diego State, were saying, well, they lost so much. But if you saw him in the summer, you saw him early in the year, and you saw him practice, and this was out without Reese Waters, they had the potential to be really good. And Magoon, for example, everybody was saying, hey, this guy's kind of been hidden away for a year and he may bust out. But his potential, if you think about it, 2 years ago, he's in high school. Last year, he didn't play. So every minute he steps on the court, that's game experience for him, and he's going to get better. And he listens. They got good coaches. But 1 through 10, this is probably the best Aztec roster that I've seen talent-wise. And these guys develop. I think I always felt this way. 10 games into the season, we'd have a better idea where they're going to be. You give them 10 more games, and we're going to just, I think, see them expanding. I'm not sure what's going to happen on Reese Waters. He's a great shooter. He's a great guy. If he comes back, that would be huge. But I think after we see 20 games under their belt heading into February late, I think we're going to see a really good, confident Aztec team.
Underlying confidence. Miles never has any shortage of confidence. But like I said, with Heide, it's great to see that kind of coming into that confidence. Fiend, you got anything you want to add in there as far as maybe some unsung guys that I'm not talking about?
Well, the guy that I've really been just impressed with ever since the Air Force game has been Kimo Ferrari, and I know he's only getting limited minutes. Maybe like 3-5 minutes a game. Did he play in the New Mexico game? I really wanted him in there, but I think maybe not until the end of the game when it was decided. But I thought the energy that he came in with against Colorado State, especially, against Air Force, but then seeing it again against Colorado State, it's like you see it once. It's like, okay, is this a fluke? He doesn't have a lot of minutes. It's not a big sample size, but to see him again on the floor and the energy that he brought and how well the team plays when he's on the floor defensively and offensively because of how quick he is in getting to his spots. And it just seems like his energy and the way he moves, the speed, the deliberacy, moving with intention, like it rubs off on the other players. And, if you look at the lineups that he's been in, I know it's a very small sample size, but of the top 10 lineups that the Aztecs have had, irregardless of minutes, Byrd is on 8 of those top 10 most productive lineups, and Chemo is on 7 of them. And we're not talking about with the other walk-ons. We're talking about with the starters and the reserves, the guys in the rotation. So he is making a big impact. I'm not saying he should get 20 minutes a game, but I really would like to see him get somewhere between like 8 and 12 minutes. I think he can really give us a big spark off the bench.
Can I add one thing on Chemo? Fiend, I totally agree 100% with you. The great thing about him is he's a senior. He's been through a lot of this stuff. He's not going to come in a game like one of the freshmen or the sophomores and maybe get too excited and turn the ball over in a critical time. And the other thing is, I think before this season's over, there's going to be a game that he's going to come in and hit a couple of threes against a zone or whatever. And that may be the difference in the game.
Yeah.
So good. So true. So good. I mean, sometimes we fail to remember that it is a very young team. So yeah, having that veteran presence, I mean, it makes a big deal. It makes a big deal at these ages. Oh boy. Well, okay. Quick question that I saw here in the chat, and that was by JK. He wants to know at Bill, what's your favorite Mountain West Conference away arena? I don't know if you've had many opportunities to travel around or at least, be in some of those arenas. The Pit, you're familiar with, it sounds like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would say the Pit, because if you go into the Pit, 15,000 people, and I'll take you the perfect game with Lamont Butler hitting that buzzer beater. You go in there and you play a really tough game, and their fans are on you, and the refs are not maybe giving you a few calls and whatever, and it's a close game, and you beat them at the end. It's just like it shuts them all up. They're walking out, their heads are down or whatever. And to me, that would be the ultimate, because like Larry Bird, Magic, and all those guys, they'd talk about going to the away arenas. And when you're booed, actually, that's really a compliment. And I like to see that when the Aztecs go in there and win.
So pretty safe to say the Pit, huh? Pretty safe to say the Pit. Well, we'll be in Fort Collins this year. I'm looking forward to that real soon.
Let me, Fiend, if you remember the first time we met, it was at a summer league game. And Miles Byrd coming in as a freshman, and that's the first time I got to see him play.
Yeah.
And at that time, he weighed 113 pounds. No, he didn't. Yeah, but he weighed 165. He was really thin and whatever. The first time I saw him, and I was amazed with his vision in passing the ball. And I knew that in the future, if he gets bigger and stronger, he'd be a great player. And I think the one compliment on that is that the Aztec coaches, when they go out and they recruit these players, they're looking at them, not how high they jump or whatever, but they're saying, hey, in 2 years of development, look where this kid is going to be. And if you notice the first year with Miles not getting to play and being hurt and whatever, right? One of the coaches told me, he just said, hey, he wants to be out there and he feels that he can get it done right now. And now to see him the other night in that game, he was in the zone. He was having fun, like you guys were saying, right? He was catching the ball, not even thinking. That was a great basketball game. One of the most outstanding games that I've seen one of the Aztecs play in the 10 years that I've been around here, and maybe some of the games I've seen elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and to go from being on the bench on a Final Four team 2 years ago to being really the leader of this, one of the leaders of this squad, if not the leader, it really speaks to that growth and how guys just come up through the program, and It's like a factory, you know, of the development that we have at San Diego State. And so he's just another Aztec on the assembly line, you know, and he's almost at the end, you know, with the finished product. So we'll see how much longer we have him, but we just have to enjoy, you know, the time that we do, you know, watching him. And so seeing him have performances like he had the other night, I mean, those are special, and those are things we're going to remember 5, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road, you know, that Miles Byrd game.
I got a question for you, Bill, but before I get into that question, you know, kind of piggybacking off of what we're talking about with Bird, if you guys ever get a chance, go watch on YouTube an interview he did before the season started. I think it was by League Him, that account, that brand, and really fantastic interview. I loved what he was saying as far as redshirting that first year as a freshman, right? I mean, you go to the national championship in your freshman year. You don't get to play hardly any throughout the year, maybe 40 minutes total, he said. And he still thinks that was just the most amazing year he's ever had. Of course, right? You go to the Natty. But just that experience of every day in practice with the guys, you know, Lamont, Darion, all these veteran, high-quality caliber players. And there's a certain respect you get. Like you said, Bill, coming into the program, I mean, you know, he was obviously needed to get his body strengthened, matured a little bit. And there's a certain respect you get from having gone through a redshirt season like that and just humbling yourself, right? You know, you want to get out there and play. In your mind, you feel like you can get out there and ball, but you have to sit and kind of humble up a little bit. Not every player would allow themselves to do that, whether it was for their own good or not. You know, thankfully, I know, you know, his father's a tremendous coach, and you know, he's an incredibly bright young guy. So seeing the big picture, I think that brings so much respect from your teammates to know this guy paid the price. He's paying the price. You see it in his gameplay, in his attitude, in his leadership. And yeah, there's so much you could say about the young man. My question for you, Bill, is kind of what Fiend's saying for however long we have him. That draft stock is starting to rise. You know, we're in the middle of the year, so you don't want to put the cart, you know, the cart before the horse. But in your mind, from your opinion, you know, where do you see the potential of this year meaning for Miles? What could this really mean for him in his career?
Yeah, you know, one is he's got to stay healthy, you know, and you know, him being the stud and whatever teams are going to play him physical, and you hate to see him go up for a dunk or something and twist an ankle again and whatever. His potential though is, you know, I see him becoming an NBA player, but I don't want to. I want to let him have his joyride this year and lead those guys and show them the way, because he's seen how the guys before him did it. But I'd like to think, man, if we had him one more year, that if he came out and he got bigger and stronger, he would be one of the probably top 10 players in the country, be a first round draft pick, and no telling what might happen. But the way the NBA is now, you know, they're looking for these guys that have potential. And so some of these guys get drafted on potential. They're given a lot of money on potential, and they may do that with Miles. But it was a wonderful statement by Miles against Nick Clifford that this guy's a stud, and Miles stepped up and just took his game away. You know, Clifford ended up with 11 points, only 4 in the second half. He had 6 turnovers. He probably felt like he was playing against a praying mantis. You know, he's so long and everything, Miles, that, you know, the guy couldn't get the ball. So he has a tremendous upside. I think for us people, or the Aztec fans, the next year, let's enjoy this year. But I tell you, if he comes back, and if Reese Waters comes back, man, Goon's going to be better. These guys are developing all year round. They're working on their game. This isn't luck, the program. They develop, they get better. They bring in guys that are good players. And, you know, it's just a great program.
Oh, made me sit up straight mentioning everybody coming back. I was, I felt that lightning bolt, man. Oh, Miles Mantis. I like that. I like that. 7-foot wingspan. Miles Mantis. Absolutely. Well, no matter how long it goes, I agree. You got to pour all of it out of your bucket this season. Put it all out there. Love that.
One thing I like to mention, get your guys' opinion on this too, though, is like, we go to New Mexico and get beat and stuff, but in this conference, anybody could get beat, especially on the road. But I think that coaching is such a factor that in these close games, New Mexico, the Aztecs didn't play well, but when they come to Viejas, the Aztecs are going to be prepared and they're going to take away some things from New Mexico. And I think they have a great chance of winning here. They match up well against everybody else in the conference defensively. What do you guys think about the other teams and coaching? How valuable is coaching in this league?
I think it's huge. No, I think it's huge. I mean, and that's the one thing that we've been kind of blessed with in this conference, and why I think the conference has been so good and has gotten, multiple NCAA bids the last several years is because of the coaching. Guys like Alfred and Medved and Patino coming in at New Mexico really energized them, and Leon Rice has been there forever. And I mean, Utah State just seems to turn over their coach every year, and it's a great coach, and so I think it is huge that the coaching and that makes it even more tough. You have to raise your game. I mean, Dutcher has to raise his game as a coach to try to outwit these other coaches, because it comes down. Games are won and lost on coaching decisions.
Mateo, you agree with that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I love what's going on in the conference, but the conference is going to splinter off. The Pac-12 is taking the top teams, as far as I'm concerned, minus New Mexico, which is now on solid footing for the time being. So that's something you can't disregard, right? I mean, these top teams are going to be leaving. So while I feel like the Mountain West has always had quality coaches. But it's no surprise, right? It's usually a stepping stone for their careers. We are so fortunate in San Diego State that even before the possibilities of joining a Pac-12, we've had such a culture here at State, with Coach Fisher establishing that, with Coach Dutcher taking the mantle, that this is exactly where they want to be. It's the perfect spot for them. And we are very fortunate for that. Make no bones about it. I mean, having Coach Dutcher just pick things back up and taking them further, that legacy is incredible.
Yeah, one thing that I think is really cool now, if you think about it, I think it was when Jordan and Matt were playing, and they played Syracuse, I believe, in the NCAA tournament opening round, if you remember that. Up until that time, Coach Dutcher had not won an NCAA tournament game, and you had a lot of fans who were maybe not Dutcher fans, but they were just saying, hey, can't win, whatever, right? But since that time, they really notched it up. And now when you go on and you hear CBS or you hear Fox or those other analysts, the guys who really know, they have tremendous respect for San Diego State, and they consider them one of the top teams in the country. And they always say, hey, they're grown men. They're still growing this year, but they're grown men. So they have respect now that they didn't have 4 or 5 years ago. And that's going to lead to more 4-star recruits, other stuff. Hopefully some NIL money will be coming in to help that situation. But I think the program is going to do well for a long time.
Absolutely. I think going back to that time, it's interesting that you say that. I think one of the big motivators for that time was bringing in a Chris Acker from Boise State. I think that was such a great hire. And now he's taken over at Long Beach State. Now you bring in, of course, Coach Battertelli, another high-quality coach coming in. And I know when they made that hire, Dutcher was really very candidly saying, look, this is a great opportunity. We want to be that program that puts out quality coaches back out there to where you're developing not only players, but you're bringing those coaches in and they're getting their opportunities. And it's a factory in that sense of the word, Fiend, right? A factory of coaches. I think that Chris Acker hire was huge at that time for sure.
If you, Fiend, maybe you guys, Matt, maybe you guys, or Mateo, maybe you guys have been to a practice before, like when Acker was there, or even if you go now with Ryan and JD and all those guys, Dutcher lets those guys coach. You know, their thing, they run their stuff, Dutcher overseas and whatever. But if you're a coach and you're looking to rise up and maybe want to be a head coach somewhere, you know, in the future, San Diego State is the perfect place because you get a chance, like the players, to develop. And after 2 or 3 years, I mean, you're ready to step up and maybe as a top assistant or a lead assistant somewhere, but you have the potential to be a D1 coach somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean it really started before Dutcher and with Fisher, and you look at guys like Marvin Menzies and Jay Morris and guys like that who have been either head coaches or assistant coaches at major programs. So in that respect, yeah, it's just the foundation was with laid by Fisher and Dutcher, I would say, at the same time. And then has just carried forward that tradition under Dutch. And yeah, it's we're very blessed. We're very blessed the situation that we've had at San Diego State.
Hey, a note before we you guys came on the air, UCSD is playing at Long Beach State tonight, Chris Acker, and at halftime it was UCSD 38, Long Beach State 23.
Wow.
So but I think the Long Beach State program is in great shape under Chris Acker.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get off the ground there, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I do know that what is it? UCSD's Hayden Gray?
Yes.
He's number 1 in steals per game in the nation right now. Wow. I wouldn't have saw that.
Great player. He's a great player. Watch him switch league. Fantastic.
One of the things that I kind of take a little bit of pride in with him is they have the Tate Jones, and he's a kid from New Zealand who went to Hawaii Hilo, played his first 3 years there, scored well over 1,000 points, was an all-league, all-region player there, talked about going back to New Zealand to play pro basketball, and somehow he got a contact with UCSD. He showed up there last year, had a really good year, and this year, again, he's one of their best players. So, good luck to them. It's nice to have 2 teams really doing well.
A lot of connections, and thank you, Flavor Guy, for giving me that little tidbit about Hayden. Okay, really quick, let's transition into the Mountain West. What happened this week? What happened? A lot of upsets. New Mexico. Oh, what did JK say over here? He said depressed Kirky. Depressed Kirky. Oh man, yeah, I love that. Yeah, just when you think you got it figured out, and New Mexico is hitting on all cylinders. What did you say, Fiend? They do something that's just completely New Mexico, Lobo Nation. Just fumble the game, and I mean, it was unbelievable. San Jose State. Now, okay, San Jose State, respect them in football, basketball. Nobody shows up. It's an empty gym. They have the scoreboard on the wall. It's like Peterson Gym back in the days in San Diego State. I don't know what they need to do to reinvigorate. I mean, they were just in a contender a few years ago. Now I'm happy to see them get a big victory against New Mexico. But does that really help or hurt? I mean, it hurts the conference, of course, right?
It shouldn't have happened. I mean, it absolutely should not have happened. I mean, and it kind of shows you how some of these teams, like they're so great at home, and then they go on the road and they lose to some of the worst teams in the conference. And I'm not saying that I'm not sure that they're not like in Air Force, Fresno State like level. I think they're better than that. But still, that's a game that like you can't lose for for New Mexico. I mean, they just got into the conversation of that they deserve an at-large bid, and then you go on the road and drop a deuce in San Jose like that. Yeah, I mean, you don't deserve an at-large bid. Am I right?
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, we were pretty much their resume building victory, right? I mean, who else did they beat? UCLA, but
But then they lost at home to New Mexico State. And I mean, this got some really bad losses on their resume now. And so I know their fans are really down. That depressed a Kirky or whatever they said in the chat. That's probably pretty accurate right now because they were riding a big wave of emotion and pumping their chest out after they beat us. And then to go on the road and pull that stunt. Yeah, can't be happy if you're a Lobo fan right now.
and they are the defending tournament champions. You know, you would think. Sorry, Bill, what you got?
No, just it's pretty easy to go into your home arena before 15,000 people and get pumped up and play, right? And that's what New Mexico does at the pit. They're really tough to beat. But to go on the road and play where there's no fans and you have been told, hey, you guys are so good, you beat this team and that team, and now you're playing one of the worst teams in the conference, and the guys against San Diego State, probably 5 or 6 Lobos played really good games. They played really well, so you had 5 or 6, you had really good balance. Well, some of those other guys that had good games against the Aztecs, when they got to San Jose State, they weren't ready and they didn't play very well, and that can happen, and this won't be the last game that New Mexico is going to lose this year, but again, you have to be ready when you go on the road. And the one thing that Coach Dutcher has said, and his players say this all the time, we play to our standard. That's what they're not worried about who's in the crowd or whatever. They have to play to their standard, and you got to give credit to the kids on the team that have bought into that, because whoever gets on the court, like Fiend said earlier, Chemo, I mean, there's a 50-50 ball. He's diving on the floor for it, right? They look to play at that standard. And when you play at that standard, and when you have the athleticism and the length that they have, and there's a loose ball, usually the quicker guy, the more athletic guy is going to get it. And in this conference, I believe San Diego State has the most athletes in the conference.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Now, Utah State losing to UNLV, it was Utah State's first conference loss on the year, the Aggies. But to me, that's very different, right? UNLV is obviously a quality team. San Jose State in their own right is as well, but different animal. Utah State has been playing these close neck and neck games with us, with Boise. They got over Nevada by 5, I want to say. So I feel like this game was coming. It was coming for them. There were only so many last bucket heroics 4-point plays you were gonna get away with. And UNLV on their home court, they played big. They played big. Of course, Deaton Thomas Jr. is a special player. We all saw that last year. Great to see him back with the Rebels. Now we've got UNLV this Saturday. Guys, do either of you have any takes on this game? Because UNLV, they tend to show up on the road in Viejas. They do. They always give us a run for our money. I can't remember really dominating them in both games ever, even on their down years. That's a grudge match between the two, even if they're not at the top of their game. I know they're going to come in with a lot of confidence after beating Utah State, and rightfully so. They're solid. Fiend, you got any thoughts on UNLV coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, they're definitely going to come in very confident, but they also have been a very inconsistent team, especially on the road. I think they went to Boise. They got clipped by 22. They went to Colorado State, beat down by 22 as well. I mean, those are some ugly losses. And yeah, then you get this great win against Utah State on your home court, which they've been playing really well on their home court. But then you got to wonder, okay, how well are you going to play in front of 12,000 screaming fans who all showed up to get a Brian Dutcher bobblehead, on Saturday night. So I think that we may see a different UNLV team, and I would expect them to be, if they're going to get us, it would be at their place. So I think we are going to win this game, just because it's on our court and in front of our fans. But the return matchup, I think it's towards the end of the regular season. That's going to be a tough one. Even though it is our vacation home, we consider it. It's our vacation home. It's still going to be a tough one. So with this UNLV team, I mean, they'd have to string together several wins in a row before I'd be convinced that they're like a real threat to take out some of the top teams consistently in this conference.
Yeah, I agree with Fiend. The one thing about the Aztecs this year, and they really match up in the different positions. So we play New Mexico and they have dent, but we have small guards and we have some size that could give different looks at. We have Farrell Compton come in and bumping bodies and whatever. We have a good mixture that we could throw at a team with 10 different guys and whatever. So as a good player comes in like Clifford, we could throw Byrd at him, but then also we could switch off and have somebody come off the screen and guard. So this team could really defend. Now they just got to continue to rebound, because if we just give up one shot each time down the court, we're going to beat everybody we play, because it's only one shot. We're going to rebound it. We got a chance to score. And I think on an average night, I think as a team, we should be able to make 7 threes, 8 threes a game, get some free throws. So I think every time we step on the court, we have a chance to win, but we got to come ready and we got to play to that standard, the San Diego State standard.
Yeah, I want to add too, I think with UNLV, they've got some pretty good size. That Bear Cherry is a load down low. I don't think we have anyone who's as big as him. So that's going to be an interesting matchup with JCJ and Heidi, really, trying to keep him in check and keep him off the boards and not getting, easy bunnies in the lane. We'll see. That guy, I think he's from San Diego too. I think he originally was from San Diego, and I believe we offered him actually out of high school. But that's a matchup. But some of the other guys like Deion Thomas will be tough. He's always a tough matchup. Jalen Hill, I think Byrd will match up really well against him. As another long body who can defend. So I like how we match up at the guard's position, maybe not at the point guard, but the guard and the wings, I think we match up pretty well.
Bear Cherry, 6'11", 280.
He used to have long dreadlocks or long hair. He cut it for last game, kind of like that Andrew Meadow did. That really threw me off. When he cut the locks, the guy who looks like one of the Hanson brothers from Slapshot with the glasses, and then he cut it off. It was like, who is this guy? So,
yeah, he had the bowl cut look. That was pretty cool. Yeah,
I think he got a free bowl of soup with that haircut.
NIL deal at the pho restaurant there in Boise, the one pho restaurant. Yeah, so yeah, okay, UNLV. I like what you guys are saying. You guys are selling me. I'm feeling a little easier. I was a little nervous before Colorado State. I'll be honest with you. Now it's gonna flip flop, right? They're gonna take us down to the wire. Either way, 5:00 p.m. there at Viejas, guys. Show up, get your bobbleheads, be loud. Let's see. Before we wrap things up, because we are getting close to that hour mark, I want to thank you guys for joining. Make sure you check out the Sons of Montezuma online shop. Of course, you can save 15% off using the promo code MONTY Monty at checkout. Guys, you guys been keeping an eye on our former Aztecs, our transfers out. It's always something I catch myself every once in a while. Oh, what did Lamont do this week? What did Micah Parrish do? I wanted to take a peek, and I kind of added it in the article that we put out this morning, and just kind of giving fans an update on what these guys are doing, how they're doing. Of course, One's in the ACC. One's in the ACC, one's SEC, and then one's in the Big Ten. Of course, Micah Parrish. You guys keeping up on these guys? It's kind of interesting to see how they're doing away from the Mesa.
Go ahead, Fee.
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of them are doing pretty well, with their roles for their different teams. I just wonder, are they going to make the tournament this year? I mean, I think Lamont will, but I have a feeling that Saunders is going to be watching the tournament from the couch, and Parrish might be doing the same thing. Because they're losing some games, and that Big Ten is really tough. They're going to get a lot of teams in, but I'm not confident that Ohio State is going to be a tournament team. So, yeah, they got maybe expanded roles with their teams. They got a good chunk of NIL money, but when it comes to postseason, they may be in the NIT or at home watching the Aztecs play.
I'm friends with Lamont Butler Sr., and he'll text me sometimes, like telling me what's going on and whatever. And the one thing about Lamont Jr. this year, if he would have stayed at Aztec, here being an Aztec, he had a really good year and whatever. But his goal was always to be an NBA player. And by going there, it raised the exposure level and given him a chance to play against some really quality players and to show the NBA scouts what he has. And he's really shooting the ball well this year. He's going to defend. He's big and strong athlete and whatever. So by going there this year, I think he really enhanced his NBA chances. And one thing is because of the style of play. They just get it and push it. And when he gets it, he's like a Ferrari. And he could just take it to the basket at any time. If it's not there, he'll move it out. And with the Aztecs, sometimes Dutch would like to set it up and, look for different things, especially last year with Ladie. So I think it was a good move for Lamont. And, I hope he joins, KJ, not KJ, but Keshad. I'm sorry, Keshad in the NBA. And, we have another Aztec there.
Yeah, we covered it and on the podcast when he made that decision to go to Kentucky. And while we were very hurt, we understood why. I mean, he really needed to show his offensive game. Everyone knows he can defend, and how much was he really going to grow his offensive game at San Diego State when defense is what that program is built on? And the style of play that Mark Pope plays, it's very free flowing. It's very up tempo. You're going to get more, you're going to fill the stat sheet more on offense if you shoot the ball well, at Kentucky and definitely with the exposure, just being at a blue blood like Kentucky and being in the SEC, you're going to have more eyes on you.
One of the other things is Lamont Butler's trainer was Phil Scott when he was here. Phil joined Chris Acker at Long Beach State, helping there. Yep. And I know Phil, and I would talk to him at the game sometimes. And he told me when he saw Miles Byrd and he had a chance to work out with him a little bit and stuff, he told me that guy could be an NBA player. So this was 2 years ago. So again, he's seeing, hey, in 2 years what this kid could be. And now Miles is showing some of the great things that he could do on the court.
Quality individuals on naming right there. Friends of the show for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think Saunders' situation is probably absolutely the toughest out of all three. I mean, he gets there, and of course, a complete change in coach direction of that program. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the interim is probably in similar theory, I would think, but what a whirlwind. I'm sure Saunders is going to have some decisions to make, as college ball is these days. Now every year is a decision to make. So I couldn't see them turning that thing around this late into the season. Parrish seems like, oh man, putting up about similar numbers, but yeah, I'm with you, Fiend. I'm not sure what that Big Ten. I mean, it's such a big conference now. I don't know how you navigate that thing and getting teams into the tournament, but with Butler, I agree with what they're saying in the chat. He seems like he's the glue to Kentucky. His minutes are are a fraction of what they were at state, but the output is very, very nice. So, all the best to all three. I definitely wanted to bring these up because, being at San Diego State, you can make the NBA, you can make the pros, you can get the exposure, not on that same level, but at this point, State is a name brand. So it's going to be interesting to see how people's perception continue to evolve. But this is a big year. This is a big year for the Aztecs. I think they could do some more damage. It'll completely go a long ways, as it already has with a lot of these young guys. I'm just curious to see. I'm curious to see what's next. This whole thing is so new for the whole landscape of college sports. But boy, this program's doing a nice job, despite these three examples going to power conference teams. Boy, this Aztecs team is continue to put out high quality ball.
When Miles Byrd was being recruited by SDSU, I put together a little collage and I took his 247 numbers, which he wasn't 100%, or he wasn't a top 100 player, or top 50 player. I mean, he was like in the 150s or something, 120, something like that. And I took a photo of Jordan Shackle, who had similar recruiting rankings to Miles Byrd. And I had a picture of Shackle and then a picture next to Shackle because he had been picked up by the Washington Wizards. And then I had a picture of Miles Byrd with his rankings and then a question mark next to that. And I said, we develop players. Now, I'm not saying, that landed him, but what I was speaking to is the development of our program. If you're a top 100, top 150 player, it is tough to make the NBA. There's only so many spots. So to be able to develop yourself to the point where you can achieve that level, that is special. And we have done that over and over by taking not guys who are top 50, top 25, top 10, but a lot lower and developing them into great players that can play in the NBA.
Good stuff. Bill, anything to add before we cut you loose? It's getting a little late, I know.
Yeah, the thing is, again, coming into this year, the expectation, a lot of people didn't have much expectation, especially nationwide. San Diego State, they lost everybody. They lost these transfers. But again, it's the culture, it's the program, it's the development, it's the coaching, it's all of that makes this team a really good program. They're going to win. And so to start early, to beat Houston, to beat Creighton, nobody would give them a chance early in the year. But then you see when they play to their abilities and they play with confidence, they can play with anybody. So there's going to be some peaks and valleys. This is the Mountain West. That's how it is. But I think the matchups problems that they present to all the teams is far greater than the reverse. When teams play San Diego State, well, am I going to try to stop Boyd? Am I going to try to stop Byrd? There's just so many. And with the other teams, you look at New Mexico, they have a talent team, but they got Nelly Joseph, big guy inside, and they got Dent. The other guys are okay, and they played great in that win there. But I think as far as the matchups in the long run, I think we're going to beat New Mexico at Viejas. And I think coming into the playoffs, I think we may have another loss or two at the most, but I think we'll be playing really well at that time. And that sets you up to do something in the tournament.
From your mouth to the basketball god's ears. I like what I'm hearing, though. Bill, thank you so much for joining us. We got to do this again. You guys make sure you follow Bill O'Hoops. Is that your handle on X, right? At Bill O'Hoops?
Yeah, it is. And it's funny how I got that was I had a van back in Hawaii that I'd drive, and my wife went and got the new license plate, and some people call me O'Hoops. And so that was what it was. So I'm driving around with this license plate. And then two tourists from the mainland came in and they looked at it and they said, "Oh, do you teach hula?" I said, no, I'm a basketball guy. So, but you never know. But hey, I try to watch you guys when I can. I enjoy reading your stuff on Twitter. I'm just an Aztec fan that, tries to look at the positive, and my respect for the program is tremendous for the job they're doing, the players they bring in. And, this year, the girls, the same thing. The women play hard. They represent the community well. The Mesa program has been a really nice addition. And so things look good coming up. And, like Fiend said earlier, the coaches that they bring in, all of these guys are really good at what they do. So I can't see a drop off. I think they're going to continue to win. I don't know how far they'll go this year, but man, if everybody comes back next year, could be an incredible team.
Absolutely. Angelica says, may we see the San Diego State standard on Saturday. Thank you for your insight. Go Aztecs, I believe. Bill, on that note, thank you, man. We're gonna cut you loose. We appreciate the time, and we'll do this again. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
There you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed that time with Bill O'Rear. Fantastic guy, man. Good input there. We were shooting some hoops there at the Mesa Foundation open practice last season. That was a good time. And I know some of you in the chat are a little weary about the NIL funds, and that's a good opportunity. Mesa Foundation, he plugged it there at the end. Go donate to the cause. Go sign up. Really cool behind the scenes videos, diaries of the team on the travels, on the road trips, all throughout the season. Really, really exclusive stuff. So definitely worth it, in my opinion. Well, Fiend, UNLV Saturday, 5:00. Let's do this. Bobblehead. Go crazy.
Let's do it.
Need a Sons of Monty bobblehead. Need a Sons of Monty, just big old Jack in the Box looking head.
How about a Fiend bobblehead?
A Fiend oh man. Everybody throw him on the court. Throw it at the ref.
Get a Mike bobblehead.
Oh my, yeah. Well, we'll definitely chuck those ones on the court. Definitely not. Mike, we miss you. Wish you were here. But thank you guys for. Yeah, he's putting together the puzzles. He's just watching us right now, putting his puzzle together. Everybody, thank you for joining. We're gonna cut it. Thank you for joining us. A rare 2 episodes this week, so make sure you guys go back and listen to our groveling episode after New Mexico. This is a much more joyous episode, but either way, we thank you for joining. And thank you again, everybody, for the birthday wishes. Warms my heart so much. Aztec Nation, we love you. Until next time, sonsofmontezuma.com. Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs. Beat UNLV.
Woo!